It is the day before Christmas and it is cold. If you live in the US, you are probably impacted by this Storm Elliott as well. And while it is not nearly as bad here in southern Texas than it is in other parts of the States, it is, well, still very cold by our standards. Of course, this storm didn't come unannounced, and I had plenty of time to think about winterization of the van. And I decided not to do the full winterization with putting antifreeze into the water lines and instead just run the diesel heater for a few days and hope for the best, really. The van is parked inside of my garage, and while it is not heated, it is sheltered enough from the cold wind, and I think the diesel heater will do just fine. I put a wireless thermometer inside of the van and inside of the garage so I can monitor the temperature from inside the house. Should it drop to below freezing inside of the van or near freezing inside of the van, I can still think of a plan B, whatever that might be. The outside thermometer is right here at the back of the van towards the outside wall of my garage. And then the inside one I just placed on the kitchen counter. I bought these thermometers because they have a 1/4 mile wireless range, which is what I need to transmit into the house. What I didn't know at the time is that they also log the data. So I can now get a really nice graph of how the temperature developed over time. And by looking at the temperature from inside of the van and from outside of the van, I learned a few really interesting things, and that's what I wanted to share with you in this video. When I parked the van, I put in the Winnebago supplied window coverings for the driver's side, for the windscreen, and for the passenger side, and I put the silver side, the reflective side, on the inside, and then the black one towards the outside. I also closed all those blinds on all 3 windows, hoping that this will give a little more insulation. I also have this foam insert for the Max Air fan, which reduces heat loss quite a bit. And last but not least, I closed the blackout blinds towards the rear door. Basically, I tried everything I could to reduce heat loss of the van to an absolute minimum. Now you might wonder if it's a good idea to run the diesel heater when parked inside a garage. And well, it is absolutely not a good idea to do that. However, this garage is not attached to my house and it is very well ventilated. Let me show you. So there's huge gaps in the front door, right here and here and down here. And the side door isn't sealed very well. And see, here it is open on top where the roof meets the side wall, and here around the other garage door. So there's plenty of ventilation. There's not a problem running the diesel heater inside. Let's go inside now and I'll show you what I learned from looking at the data of those 2 thermometers.
Okay, let me explain what we are looking at. I plotted the inside van temperature up here in this orange color and the outside van, but inside of the garage, temperature in blue down here. And I did that over the course of 2 full days. We are starting at around 10 a.m. in the morning and it was around 50 degrees both inside and outside of the van. And this pink line here marks 32 degrees. This is obviously the temperature that the inside of the van should not fall below. Here at 3 p.m. I turned the heater on and I set it to 52 degrees. And while the outside temperature dropped quickly, inside of the van 52 degrees were quickly reached. Then at around 10 p.m. I changed the inside temperature to around 58 degrees and it took about an hour and a half to reach that new temperature. And while the outside temperature still kept falling, inside it stayed at around 58 degrees, very solid. When the sun came up the next morning, outside temperature rose quickly. And because my garage doors are south facing and the sun is relatively low, it also warmed up the inside of the van, and by about 3 p.m. the heater shut off. It got warmer inside of the van because of the sun than what the heater was set to. After sunset, outside temperature dropped quickly. while inside I changed the heater back to 50 degrees or 51, I think. What I find interesting is that the heater didn't actually kick in until 4 in the morning, so it took about 6 hours for the van to cool from about 58 to 51 degrees. Of course, the system was still turned on and the area under the bench seat was plenty warm, but still, it takes a long time for the van to cool down, even if the outside temperature is around 30 degrees. At around 4 in the morning, the heater kicked back on and stabilized the inside temperature at the set 50 or 51 degrees.
I also kept an eye on battery and fuel usage. According to the Mercedes Me app, my diesel tank dropped from about 77% to 69% over those 3 days that I had the diesel heater running. So I used a little less than 2 gallons of fuel over those 3 days. As for battery usage, I charged them fully up to 100% yesterday afternoon, and this morning, 18 hours later, I was down to 90%, using 10% overnight for, well, 18 hours. So what's the conclusion from all of this, you might ask? Well, I don't really know. I mean, here in South Central Texas, where it doesn't get too cold for too long, I think I don't ever need to fully winterize the van. I can just keep the heater running for a couple of days straight. I don't need to worry about fuel consumption. I don't really need to worry about running out of battery power. Heater will keep the van warm and will keep it from freezing for sure. If it gets ever much colder or for much longer, well, I will just move to Mexico. Well, and that's it for today. I hope you have a good Christmas. I also hope the storm doesn't impact you too much. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.